What up, everybody? Lyndon Alvarez here with aetuts.com.net. Whatever floats your boat. Today we're going to be doing some stabilizing techniques to help us with rotoscoping and to sort of fake some 3D camera tracking. The latter is a cool, quick technique that you can pull out of your sleeve in the instance that the shot isn't too complex and it doesn't need a whole lot of attention to detail. It's just one of those things to have around your belt that, comes in handy sometimes. The former, if you've never stabilized your footage to rotoscope it, this is a technique you definitely want to tap into. It's, just one of the many tools that are going to help you become an overall better compositor. So hopefully I can keep y'all somewhat entertained and I don't bore you too much. So getting started in a new project, go ahead and drag in the graffiti footage. Go ahead, drag down to new comp. It'll make a new comp. And we're going to track this, but first I want to give it some more contrast so it'll be easier to track. So I'll go to Effects, Color Correction, Curves. Pop it up a little bit. Let's take it down. Yeah, it looks good. So if that layer is selected, I'll go to Layer, Pre-Compose. Make sure it's Smooth All Attributes and New Composition. Click OK. Right click, Stabilize Motion. Gonna hit the tilde key so I can full screen it. Zoom in, and actually want to go to about right there. It gets crisper. And I'm gonna start with this first. Contrast the breasted area. Hold Shift or Command on the Mac, and just pull the bounding box out. Just constraining the proportions. Zooming out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to track backwards first, because that's where most of motion blur is at, and I don't want to waste my time if it's not going to work. But for some reason it's sticking. It's almost as if this was premeditated for a tutorial. Maybe, I don't know. So that looks like it's stuck pretty well. I'm going to zoom in, hit the space bar, page up, page down, see how it's doing. To me, that looks pretty legit for the track. It's staying fairly head on. So the key out of it, zoom out, track forward. Dwam, and I think we are done for the first part. Just hit spacebar. Yep, to me that looks pretty good. I will take it. So then I'm going to go ahead and hit track motion again. We're just going to turn this to raw because it'll just be the second point that we're going to apply to our first one. We don't need all the stuff there. And I'm going to go ahead and track this. Make the bounding box fairly large. I'm at the end. It's good enough for me. I'm just going to assume that it's going to work for some reason. Track backwards. And bingo, we're done. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Yep, to me that looks cool. So what I'm going to go is go back to the original composition. I'm going to hit U and tracker 1 and tracker 2. I'm going to select both of those, holding Control or Command on the Mac. Control X. Let's go ahead, dragging that original footage. First frame, Control V, hit U. Now both the trackers are lined up. I don't need that anymore. Delete it. Right click, stabilize footage. Both of these selected. That's what I need to do. The second one, Control X, drop it in the first one, hit U. Then I'll select that. That was the problem. I needed to set that to stabilize. Hit rotation and scale, so it links the two together. Hit edit target. It's on the right footage. Hit apply. X and Y. And And now our footage is stabilized. So now I'm going to go to Layer, New, Solids, making sure it's a white solid. Yes, it is. Make comp size. Okay. Composition, composition settings. And I'm going to go ahead and blow this up so it's larger. Now, what I'm going to do is see where it goes. Okay, so basically our font is going to come out of this area. So roughly, turn the transparency down a little bit. It's going to be over here. So this is where we're going to put our mats. Okay, so now that we have our white solid in place, I'm just going to go ahead and drag this down a little bit lower because the footage does drop down over time. I'm going to go ahead and begin rotoscoping. So make sure you turn it off, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to unlock the panel. Then I'm just going to scroll it down about here, hit G for the pen tool, tilde key. Now I'm able to basically go full screen and use the timeline at the same time. To me that comes in handy. So I'll zoom in, make my first point, scroll down, make my second point. And in case you're wondering, notice how they came up a different color. You just go to Edit, Preferences, User Interface Colors, and then basically make sure you have, come on, pop up, Cycle Mask Colors. This way it'll give you a different color every single time versus yellow, which is just freaking horrible. So I'm just going to click over here, over here. I don't have to worry about tracking really close because I know that the font I'm going to add is only going to appear over here. Now if you're having stuff pop up over here behind the trash can, you would want to track over here maybe and create some more masks, but I'm sure you can find a lot of all the great tutorials out there for creating multiple masks. Right now we're just doing a fairly basic track to show you how the technique works. So I'll go ahead and add my points. I'm going to add one right here. Keep hitting G till I get that key. So this way I can hit the arrow key, pull it back. Hit G again. To basically add one in the center. Then I'll click on it, the arrow key, and this will allow me to curve it, make it bend. I'll hit the arrow key, pull it back. See, to me this looks good. However, I want to bring this in a little bit more. Same with this. And hit M. Go ahead and hit the stopwatch on the mask path. This is so make sure you do this, because if you don't, this is going to pop up. Not really. If you don't hit that and you start making all these movements and adjusting the mask, and then you come back and realize that you haven't said anything, all your imaginary keyframes would have been in vain. So I'm going to go ahead and tweak this in. To me, all this looks good. Cool. Now zooming out. I don't like this color. I'm just going to make this red. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and go backwards and see how much this changes. I'm going to go to that first home key. I'm just going to click here, drag that over here, drag this right here. Just going to examine it. Go back to the middle keyframe. And basically I'm just going around and seeing, staying about halfway in between that blur and seeing where the line is at. Now rotoscoping, as I'm sure a lot of y'all know or have assumed, it is very fun, super fun. Like, I can't get enough of rotoscoping. If I could just do it for free, I would. That's how much I love it. Okay, that looks cool to me. And let's see. Yeah, it looks good. Not too bad. Not too shabby. Now you see that? We have created 4 keyframes so far for how many frames? 56 frames. Now imagine if that wasn't stabilized and the footage was moving everywhere, it'd be a lot more than 4 frames, which is why stabilizing the shot, rotoscoping it first, then reversing the stabilized data to a mask is the ship. And that ship, as in like sailing ship on water, not, which I can't say that because it would totally be inappropriate. So now I'm going to go forward, see where these slips are at. Alright, get closer. Okay, we can see some parallax. We see all the end coming out. So let's see when it first starts coming out. Pretty much right there. But it stops scrolling it around this area. So Q. To me, that's sticking fairly well. I say fairly well a lot, don't I? Probably so. Alright. Okay. Alright, let's check out that mat. See a little bit of slip right here. But you see how having this turned off allows us to scrub through and see where that roto mask line is really going. Comes in handy a lot. I think that's good, and we did it in how many keyframes? 6 keyframes. Wow. So turn that on. Hit T for transparency. Turn that on. I'm actually going to hit MM, and I am going to put a 2 feather on mine. Tilde key. Drop this back in. Hide that. Let's check it out. Well, we're going to put the transparency to 50. Now let's just render this and see what it looks like. Alright, to me that is pretty cool. Now for the motion blur and to basically reverse the stabilization so we can have this matte stick to our footage. Alright, so go ahead, tilde key out of this. And what we're going to do is just going to make this invisible. Go ahead, duplicate it. And what I'm going to do is hit A, hold Shift, P, SR for anchor point position, scale, and rotation. Same for bottom footage. So now what we'll do, make sure we're on the first frame, we're going to alt click on the stopwatch for anchor point, pick whip to position, alt click on position stopwatch, pick whip to anchor point. Same for scale, we'll pick whip to the X coordinate on scale. And right here, temp, that's going to be X and Y. So what we'll do to get the opposite for the scale is 10,000 divided by, and the same for the Y coordinate, 10,000 divided by, hit enter on the numeric keypad, alt click on the stopwatch for rotation, and pick whip to rotation. And we're just going to do times -1, and that will do the opposite. Okay. So let's go ahead and check this out. So go ahead, turn the transparency up. So what we actually need to do is we need to drop on an instance of this footage, drag it underneath. We'll hide this, and we'll hit P for position since it's only got one keyframe, and we offset it earlier, so we have to offset it back. So go ahead. Now I'm sure there's a more accurate way of doing this, I'm almost precise there is, but for the sake of I digress and get impatient at times, so we're just going to do it like this. I'm turning the transparency down so I can see where I'm aligning this at. Okay, to me that looks good. Turn the transparency up, and there we go. And there it is. Looks pretty good. So now what I did to make it blur naturally with the composition is I turned on the blur, turned the blur on for hair, and I just played around in the composition settings for the advanced tab so I had the shutter angle matching. I did 360 for the shutter angle, shutter phase -90, and I did 4 samples. You could actually turn it up, but it's going to slow down your rendering times for more, I guess, instances of the blur to create the blur effect. So basically when it gets pulled out, frame blurs, and it matches on fairly well. So now we have our mats. Pretty cool, huh? Isn't that cool how it blurs when it moves, and then when it slows down it sharpens? Makes rotoscoping a lot easier. Now if you were rotoscoping a car that was moving with a lot of blur, you'd probably have to take advantage of Mocha, but the principles would be the same. You would go into Mocha, you would track the footage, import the tracking data, find those 2 points that you need, and just apply it to the footage, stabilize, then reverse it, just like we did here, and bam, even got a better motion tracker with it. Now for the fun stuff. So with the mats that we now have generated, I'm going to go ahead, delete this, we don't need that anymore. Let's make a new folder, comps, drop that in there. We're going to call this mat dumpster. I'm going to drop this into a new project. I'm going to throw the dumpster right here, the mat at least. Duplicate this, hit F4, alpha mat, blam. So now basically if I were to throw some text in here like so, let's change this color really quick so I can see it. Bacon. It would go between the footage. So pretty cool, pretty cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create the fake 3D tracking. We'll select the bottom layer, we'll right click, hit stabilize footage. I'm going to go ahead and hit rotation and scale because I'm going to select 2 points that are a little bit more obvious. I'm actually going to hit the bracket to begin right here. Right click, trim comp to work area. First points. Looks good to me. Second point. Go right here. To go back, click on that one, expand it more. Give it a wider region. That should fix it. Takes a little bit longer to render, but it's working. And that's what essentially we are trying to do. I think. Maybe. Hopefully. Alright. Zoom in. Check these out. Home key. It's cool to me. I checked all the track. Alright, that looks good. I will take it. So we'll go to the first frame, edit target, graffiti footy. That's what we're looking for. Apply X and Y. And now our footage is stabilized. Why, you ask? Well, because we're about to find out. Go to layer, new, camera, 50 millimeters, cool. Okay. Hit F4. Go ahead and toggle the 3D switch on for this. Now we will pick whip to the graffiti footage. Check it out now. It stays in line. So what I'm going to do with this right here, this text, I'm going to go ahead and make it 3D. Scoot it over a little bit. Now check this out. It's just sticking to the background. But if I move it forward in 3D space, duplicate it, move that instance forward in 3D space, maybe a little bit down, we're going to create some parallax, and it's going to look like it's 3D motion track. Check it out. Pretty cool, eh? So that's pretty much it right there. Now if you want me to show you to do the fonts, I will. This is nothing that you probably haven't done before. Just check all over the web. There's numerous ways of creating a font. What I would do is I would just create a new composition. Use this as a reference for 1280 by 720. Delete that footage. Call this main because it's the main comp. This one, fonts, and then I'll click in the center and I'll put I like. In case you're wondering what font this is, it's illegal editing, and you can find that at dafont.com, DAFONT.com. Legal editing, there it is. Just center this up. Looks good to me. Go to the main comp, drop the font in, make it 3D. Scale it down. 80. I'm gonna pull it forward a little bit. Actually want to make another composition. Call this font 2. Delete. Fried bacon. That's right. Because I do like fried bacon. It's pretty good. Drop font 2 in. Position it like so. What I'm going to do is go to the custom view 1. Make this 3D. And here, let me go back so I can see where I'm at. Okay, it's custom view 1 now. And we'll drag that so far in front of it. Drop it down. Okay, now all you gotta do is go to layer, layer style, something like bevel and emboss. Turn the size down to 1. top, sorter on the side. Looks cool to me. Copy that. Paste it. Now go effect, color correction. No effect, sorry. Generates ramp. Blue like that. Wait. White. I'm going to scale this down so it's a little bit smaller. Oh, wrong one. Select the fried bacon font. Effect, generate, ramp. Copy one of these colors. White. Warm this up a little bit. Alright, to me that looks pretty cool. And what you could do is probably add a blur to this. Effect. No, I'm sorry, yeah, effect, blur, fast blur. Throw about a 2 on it. Nah, let's do 1. Control C, Control V. And then RAM preview. And there you go. I like fried bacon. Word up. You know, bacon also tastes good baked. If you haven't done that, this is a bonus tutorial. Preheat your oven to 450 degrees. Grab that bacon, just the regular bacon, just throw it on a pan, you know, covered with non-stick aluminum foil. Throw some pepper over it. Throw it in there and just let it get crispy. And, oh gosh, make some eggs. What I do is I grab the eggs, I crack them open, whisk them in the bowl, throw some salt, pepper, milk, you know, nothing fancy, basic, straightforward, scramble them. Once that's done, I throw some, you know, Sargento's cheddar cheese on top. And what else? Bacon, eggs, a bagel, yes, everything bagel with some cream cheese, some orange juice. I need to get some sleep. It's like 2 o'clock a.m. Take care, you all. Peace.